This is The Drive with Dale Lolley and Matt Williamson on your 24/7 home of the black and gold. SNR, Steelers Nation Radio.
And welcome to The Drive. I am Dale Lolley. He is the Matt Williamson. And, it's a breezy, chilly Thursday.
I'm getting pretty tired of it, to be honest with you. I have a thick skin for such things. I've lived in this area of the country my whole life, but it's been about enough. I could use a warm day.
Well, I grew up north of here, so I'm used to all the snow and the cold. But the last couple of years, it's just like, all right, we didn't get any of this, and then like week after week and week, just.
But, it's just been cold lately.
Snow and cold.
I've been shivering for a month and a half.
And, Justin Miller's going to do the polar plunge this weekend on Saturday.
Have fun.
Have fun with that. You won't see me anywhere near that.
No, I couldn't imagine doing that right now.
Yeah.
After walking in from the breeze through there, yeah.
When Justin doesn't do the show next week, because we'll be in Indianapolis and Justin will be in the hospital with pneumonia. Exactly.
But it's a wonderful event. Everyone should
absolutely. It's for charity.
Support the cause, right.
So I get it. Mm-hmm. I wouldn't want to do it.
It's a little chilly for late February.
Yes, I can think of other things that I would much rather do for charity.
Yes, absolutely.
Than jump into a frozen. It's cold enough that the pool may freeze.
I assume it's not heated, or it kind of defeats the purpose, right?
Oh, yeah, you wouldn't catch me doing that. But kudos to Justin and everybody else who are going to jump into the pool and
support the cause.
Shrinkage, it's a real thing.
Yes.
So, Matt, I texted you this earlier today.
Yeah.
And usually we do this separately.
Yeah.
But I wanted to pull back the curtain on this year, and let's do this collectively. Where we do, so to let people know who are newer listeners to the show, every year we come up with wherever the Steelers are picking, if they're 15, our top 15 players in the draft for the Steelers.
If they were one, we pick one guy. If it's 32, we pick 32 guys. Right.
They'll have 21 guys on their board who they would take at pick 21.
Yeah.
So we come up with our 21 players this year who we would pick at 21 if we were the Steelers. So I thought we'd do that and do it on the air just to kind of talk through the process.
Yeah. We'll go through. It'll change, obviously.
Yeah.
That's our final answer, obviously.
There'll be things that come out about guys. This guy has a knee, that guy, something along those lines. But just guys that, as of today, on February 20th, if we were putting together our top board, for our first-round board for the Steelers, who those guys would be.
This probably is a two-segment endeavor,
It could be,
think.
yeah.
I mean,
we're going to have to talk through a lot of different guys.
I would think we should just, come up with any name, get them on paper, and then start building the board.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, position by position. Would you consider this guy at 21?
Yeah.
Yes, I would. Okay, we might end up with 25 names. Might end up with 18 and be like, oh, no, we're a little short. You know? I mean, so.
Well, we'll get to 21
names
because we're going to have to.
Yeah.
And then the way this works then, when we talk about trading down, or the Steelers possibly trading down in the draft, if one of those or several of those guys who they would pick at 21 were available, then they would consider a trade down.
Yeah. Or there could be tiers, too. There might be 25 that they love. But, I mean, you have to have 21 because if the worst 20 guys fall off the board, who are you taking?
Yeah.
I mean, you have to know that answer.
Now, before we start this endeavor, are there any positions that you would take off the board?
I don't think. I think I would take Abdul Carter if you said, what I mean?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? They don't need an edge, but, I mean, he should be in the top 21.
I wouldn't go real deep in the edge.
No, absolutely not, which is going to make 21 hard to come by because there's going to be a lot of edge in the top 20, in my opinion.
Yeah.
Same with O-line. I mean, there might be one or two O-linemen I'd consider, but there's not going to be 10.
Well, that's why it might be inverse. Again, to pull back the curtain on this, when I put my top 20 or whatever number we're trying to get to together, if there's guys who are clear top 10 picks, but they're not at a position of need, I'll put them lower on the board than I would put
but they're
a guy at a position of need.
Agreed.
If Will Campbell falls to 21, you probably take Will Campbell.
He should probably be on the list.
Yeah.
But he's not going to be in my top 5.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah. For the Steelers.
This is all through the Steelers' eyes. This is not our big board generic.
Right.
All right. Well, let's get started.
So,
how about you just want to start a quarterback?
Let's just roll through
I would definitely take Ward.
Okay.
I don't know if I'd take Sanders or not.
I don't know if I would either.
And I know this sounds crazy, and I'm not trying to – I think people know I'm not a clickbait guy, but we put together our top 5 quarterbacks, and today I moved them to number 3. I have Shuck ahead of him.
I don't think he's special.
I don't either. I mean, I think he does some good things, but he worries me. I think there's only one quarterback that's a definite yes. I mean, if we're just going for yeses as opposed to maybes, I mean – I think there's only one. Well, we'll see.
I mean, if we get to, let's say we only have 18 names.
We might, right. He may be the next
then
he might be the next runner up.
List.
And then you're happy when he gets picked on draft day if he's not, if you're not thrilled about it at 21. Is there only one running back?
Yeah, I think so.
I think so too. I'm worried we're going to have a hard time getting to 21 this year.
All right.
Just because of the positions and all that good stuff. I guess we should go through receivers then.
Okay.
I would take Ted.
I don't love this group. I just don't.
I know you were saying that off the air. You just did your top 5 receivers and don't love the top part.
I don't. I like some of the guys deeper into the draft as much, if not more, than because of the value.
Yeah. Of where you're spending, you don't love.
We'll put them on here because obviously they're going to be part of it.
I would definitely have McMillan on there. I think I'd have Burton, Ecuba, Texas. That might be it.
That's it at 21,
Yeah.
Wouldn't even consider anybody else.
I mean, I'm just talking about considered.
Yeah.
You know, because 21's going to be hard names to get to. Both tight ends? I mean, I'd rather have too many names on the list to start.
Right.
You know what I mean? And just start axing guys as opposed to, would you take this edge, you know? I kind of wish I had a list in front of me so I don't forget, like, O-lines and edges and stuff. But
well, let me go to get the combine tracker here.
Yeah, that'll work.
We'll do that.
Right.
So
I don't think we missed any receivers.
No, I don't think so. I know we didn't.
I know we didn't miss receivers.
So I think Warren, yes.
Warren, yes.
Colston, Loveland.
I wouldn't be happy about it. Like,
no.
I mean, like, certainly if a genie came out of the bottle right now and said, you can have Loveland for the 21st pick, do you say yes or no? I'd say no.
I wouldn't even love if everybody else was gone and you had to take Tyler Warren. Like, I would find use for him.
Yeah.
I think he's a very good football player, but I'd be like, oh, okay.
And maybe 4 of those receivers I just mentioned, too, I would not swap 21 for right this minute.
Yeah.
You know?
How
about O-lineman?
Well,
I have a hard time taking any interior.
Yeah, I'm not taking any. So
yeah,
Banks and Campbell
should be on the list. I think I would put the Ohio State kid on the list, Simmons. And I'm going to give some of these guys a benefit of the doubt with health. Like when we get to Ravel.
Again, that's why this could change.
Yeah.
But I'm not Armand Membo.
Put him on the list, but he's probably gonna be my first cut. Did you put Loveland on the list?
I did not.
I'm fine with you not.
Let's see where we get here before we start cutting guys.
The thing about Membo is there's a lot of spots on the line he could help you.
Yeah, I get it.
You've been same with Will Johnson.
Yeah.
But I mean, it would really things would not go your way to take an O-lineman.
I'll put him on the list.
Yeah.
And if we have to start cutting, that's 11.
Okay, that's better than I thought. We'll get there then. Although I don't know. Well, we probably won't have a linebacker.
Yeah.
How many D tackles?
Let's move to edge first. I mean, obviously Abdul Carter is.
Let's rule through the names. There's so many of them that could get first round consideration. I don't want to skip any. Carter would be in my 21, of course.
Yeah.
Trade Highsmith or whatever. I don't know what you do, but you just take him.
Michael Williams.
I don't know if I'm going to have any more.
Yeah.
And there's really good ones.
Mike Green.
I mean,
what do you do with Shamar Stewart?
Hope someone else drafts him and develops him. He doesn't make any plays,
James Pierce, Ezeruku. I mean,
if we have to get to 21, those are the names you start getting to. But some are going to go. Both Georgia guys are probably off the board.
Yeah,
but it's not a need. I'm not swapping 21 for any of those guys now.
I think at that point you would trade out because somebody else would want to come up and get them.
No question. This exercise isn't as easy as you think.
No. Let's move to defensive tackle.
But like last year, it was super easy. Like there's 6 quarterbacks.
Right.
There's 5 receivers. There's 7 tackles. Like we got to 20 real quick last year. Where we got here? D tackles?
D tackle.
Okay. This one I'm going to be a little more lenient.
Yeah. So I've already got
Graham.
Mason Graham, Walter Nolan.
Mm-hmm. Grant has to be on the list.
Yeah, Kenneth Grant.
What about Toledo? What about Oregon? What about?
I think I would put Derek Harmon there.
I might put both. If you told me I had to take one of the Georgia edge guys or Harmon, I'd probably take Harmon.
Yeah, he's going to play.
He's not 3rd or 4th on the depth chart or whatever.
Yeah.
What other D tackles would you consider?
I don't know if I'm there on. I mean, I
doesn't mean we have to take him.
I like Alexander.
Yeah.
I don't know that I'm there yet with him being a first-round guy.
I'm not there yet, but that doesn't mean he's not in my top 21.
Yeah.
I mean, there's two different things.
Well, at this point, just adding those 4 defensive tackles that we put on there, we're at 16.
Okay. I think I consider the Ohio State nose.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, I think
I'd rather get him at 28. But,
right.
I think he'd be my top 21. I know we're not going to have any off-the-ball linebackers.
That's 17.
Is Starks the only safety you'd even consider? And would you consider him? How about South Carolina?
How about Emuwari? Like, I could do some stuff with Emuwari.
Mm-hmm. I think both would be on the list. Slot it up, big nickel it up, just good football players. Did the Ravens really need Hamilton when they took him? They didn't need him, you know?
As it turns out, they did.
Yeah.
Because these guys
might be our first cuts. I mean, if we get over 21, there's probably going to be a fair amount of corners. Oh, and let's put Hunter on, too.
Hunter.
Colorado. Corner receiver.
Yeah.
I know. I didn't know if we didn't mention him a receiver. I didn't want to skip him.
Right. No, I hear you. I'm going to list him as a DB.
Okay. And for the Steelers, he might do both.
Right, yeah.
Pretty sure he's not getting 21. We don't have that conversation.
I don't think that's going to happen.
But that's 2 areas of needs. So he might be pretty high on the list when we start prioritizing him.
Cornerbacks.
Let's go through the names. Definitely Johnson.
Will Johnson would be, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
All right.
Are you looking at a list?
Yeah.
Or who's next on the list?
I think, to me, Jahdae Barron is a yes.
He's definitely a yes.
Yeah.
I think Ravel's a yes.
I need to see the medical.
What about him and Morrison? Or the same conversation?
Yeah. That's why I don't know that the cornerback situation is going to be quite as deep until after the combine. We see.
But, like, would you take – it's hard. I mean, we're doing this in February. Like,
right.
If I said you had to take Morrison or Loveland, if we get to that point, you know, 2 guys you're not thrilled about, as currently stated.
Well, right now, we got 22 players.
Okay. Are there any of the corners we're missing, though?
Do you think – I mean, I know we've been getting Azirie Thomas and Maxwell Hairston in the 2nd and 3rd rounds.
They would probably be my top 30.
Yeah.
Or we could write them down. They could be our first cut next segment or whatever, you know. It's not crazy. Like, if you told me the Steelers traded down to 28 and ended up with one of those 2, I'd be like, I get it, you know. I mean, it's weird to put those guys in there before Michael Williams or James Pierce or, you know, those guys. But
you know, again, in this draft, once you get past, like, the top 10 to 12 players, it's like throw a blanket over the rest of them. They're gonna go in the next 70 picks. And it could be in any order.
And I'm sure there's people losing their minds that we didn't put Shadur Sanders on there. I'm just not that big on him. I'm not objecting to taking a quarterback at 21.
Well, let's put it this way: if you look at the grade again, this is just the grade that Lance Zierlein has.
Oh, okay, yeah.
He has a lower grade than what Kenny Pickett had coming out.
Yeah.
By a lot.
I don't want
Not by a little, by a lot.
Really? Well, who are his highest graded guys we don't have on the list?
Well, let me see.
At any position. I'm sure there's a ton of edge.
So you're looking at Colston Loveland.
Yeah. Okay. I don't mind not having him on there.
We didn't put Michael Williams on.
I don't think we did.
No.
And
we didn't
I'm
put
fine with it.
We didn't put Jalen Walker on. We didn't put Mike Green on.
I think it was only Ed. I think Abdul's our only edge.
We didn't put Shamar Stewart on.
I'm okay with that.
We didn't put Ezra Oko on.
Okay.
Donovan Jackson didn't make the list.
That's fine.
James Pierce didn't make the list.
I got no problem with that.
Nick Scourton didn't make the list. Tyler Booker didn't make the list. Travion Henderson. Mason Taylor. Xavier Watts. Now we're we're definitely out of the.
No, then we got the right names.
Yeah. We got 24 of them.
Good, okay. Now there's some that we're not thrilled about.
Right.
Of course.
So we got right now Cam Ward, Ashton Genty, Tetarola McMillan, Burton, Ecuba, Golden at wide receiver, Tyler Warren at tight end. The offensive linemen, we got Banks, Campbell, Simmons, Membu. Edge rusher Abdul Carter. You got Mason Graham, Walter Nolan, Kenneth Grant, Derek Harmon, Tyleek Williams at defensive tackle. Malachi Starks, Travis Hunter, Nick Emuari, Will Johnson, Jade Barron, Azirie Thomas, Maxwell Hairston in the secondary.
Would you take Alexander over any of those names? He seems like the one that was closest to being, was like the first cut.
Potentially, yeah.
Well,
but
throw him on there, I guess. I mean,
all right, so that puts us then at
25?
25 names.
Okay.
Then we got to pare that down to 21, which we will do in the next segment.
Okay.
So
should we just go, who's number one? Who's number two?
Yeah, we'll start ordering these guys up
okay.
on the order that they would fit with the Steelers.
Yeah.
And that's going to be different than the order that they're going to go in the draft.
100%. Okay. Fun.
So that's the first part of the journey here to get to our top 21 Steeler draft picks. He is Matt Williamson.
It's easier late in the process, by the way.
Yeah.
It's much harder now because like Morrison and Ravel, we don't
know what
they might be in.
Yeah,
They
could replace some of these guys.
Yeah, absolutely.
They go out and actually run, or you see their workout at their pro day, and it's like, oh, he's okay.
Totally cleared. And,
yeah.
Yeah.
Anyways, let's get to a break. He's Matt Williamson. I'm Dale Lolley. This is The Drive on the Steelers Audio Network. Welcome back. I'm Dale Lolley. He is the Matt Williamson, and we're putting together our top 21 players for the Steelers as of February 20th. This pre-combine is very early in the process.
Right. Someone might go back and look at this in a month and be like, what were they thinking?
We might do that.
Right. We probably should. Right.
We probably will with some of these guys. But we came up with 25 names.
Yeah. They're not all going to make the cut.
That will not all make the cut here. Again, that's Cam Ward, Ashton Genty, Tet McMillan, Luther Burton, Emeka Ekuba, Matthew Golden, Tyler Warren, Kelvin Banks, Will Campbell, Josh Simmons, Armand Membo, Abdul Carter, Mason Graham, Walter Nolan, Kenneth Grant, Derek Harmon, Tyleek Williams, Darius Alexander, Malachi Starks, Travis Hunter, Nick Emuari, Will Johnson, Jade Barron, Azirie Thomas, and Maxwell Hairston.
Okay.
Who we cutting? Well, let's
start at one. Yeah.
Who's one?
So I think this shows it's not a great draft at the top.
Yeah.
I mean, the blue chippers aren't great to me, and the guaranteed first-round picks aren't great to me. Some of which aren't on that list.
I think number one has to be Cam Ward.
Yes,
though.
I do too. I didn't know. We haven't talked about this at all. To me, there's only three names to consider at one, but he has to be number one.
Yeah.
I mean, if a genie comes out of the bottle and says, you have the first pick in the draft, who you taking for the Steelers today, I'm going Cam Ward, and I'm spending my money elsewhere on
something
free
happens and he falls to 21. It's not going to happen.
Yeah, of course, right.
But you would take him.
Yes, he's my number one. Hunter is my two.
Yeah.
Kills two birds. Even if he only kills one bird, I want that bird dead, Yeah.
I hear you.
Yeah.
Three to me would be, you would find a way with, where am I? I'm looking at my list here. You would find a way with the edge rusher.
Carter. I would take Mason Graham ahead of him.
I hear that. For
the Steelers.
Neither one of them is going to be there. But
of course,
I see what you're saying. Mason,
you know what I mean?
Mason Graham would be, yeah. No, I understand how you're saying. We'll put Mason Graham.
I mean, the order doesn't really matter, especially in the top 10, because you're never going to make there anyways. Yeah. Right. And I'm cool with Carter next. And it doesn't matter. We don't have to come up with a plan. It's not like, well, then we trade Highsmith or trade Watt or blah, blah, blah. Whatever. You just take them. All right. Now I think it gets interesting.
5 is where it gets interesting. 5 to me might be Walter Nolan.
I was going to say Will Johnson, but there's concerns how he runs. Nolan would not be far off. Either one.
What do you think? Which one?
Nolan.
Okay.
You cool with Johnson next?
Yeah. Yep.
I think we're going to disagree on this next one.
Okay. Who you got next?
McMillan.
Yeah, I'm not going there.
Okay. All right. Give me another name.
I might take Kenneth Grant.
Mm-hmm. I can't do that. I thought you were going to say Genty.
Well, that's a good point. Yeah, I mean, I could go with Genty there.
Yeah. I was torn between McMillan and Genty. I just like McMillan more than you do is the problem here. Yeah.
I don't have a problem taking Genty there.
Well, let's put that in.
Yeah. He's definitely, that would be a no-brainer.
I mean, I know he's going to be good at football at the next level.
Yeah, right.
I mean, I know that, right.
He's going to play, and as we said before, he's going to be the offensive rookie of the year.
Mm-hmm. I can't go to any other lineman or a tight end or who's your number 2 corner? Barron?
Barron. That's too early for Barron.
It is. I mean, we're not.
I'm not. Put it this way. I'm not taking Barron over one of the big guys.
Okay, so the corner's off the.
At least some of these big guys.
I would take Grant over Barron.
Yeah, I would too.
I don't know if I'd take Ohio State nose over Barron.
That would be be a discussion.
We're gonna start talking about it.
Yeah,
it's gonna be a while till we bring up a no lineman. I think.
Yeah, they're going to be much lower on the list. I would definitely have the receivers ranked ahead of that. Mm-hmm. But I think if it comes down, if it's a situation where it's Grant or one of the receivers, I'm taking Grant.
I would, except for McMillan. I think he's the clear one.
I don't know that he's going to run real well.
I don't really care.
I mean, as long as it runs a 4.6.
Like if it's under 4.6, I was going to say, or under 4.65, I'm okay with it.
See, I'm not. Like, I want.
We can go Grant McMillan.
Here's the thing with for me and McMillan. I don't see a ton of difference between McMillan when you watch the tape and the Iowa State kid.
That's fair.
They do a lot of the same stuff.
I think he's a lot better out of his breaks. I think he's better agility. They do have a similar type of game.
Yeah. I just don't
and
see
that
it.
might be a compliment to Higgins.
Yeah, that's really what it is a compliment to Higgins, because one's being talked about as being a potential top 10 pick.
Yeah.
And the other one's being talked about in the second round.
Right.
And I don't see a ton of difference between the two of them.
That's actually a really fun exercise to do late in the draft. There's like, who are two guys that are pretty similar but just aren't viewed that way?
Yeah.
You know, like a lot of it's just first impressions.
Well, one was the only target on his team, so he got peppered with footballs in the last 2 seasons. The other one had another guy who's going to be a day 2 draft pick in this draft. And
like I said, some of it's just first impressions. One of them's a 5-star recruit. One of them's a 2. I'm just talking about not even in the,
yeah.
And everyone's looking at this guy, first round, and then he doesn't do anything to hurt himself, but is he really that much different than this dude over here? You know,
not in my eyes.
That's what's fun about being in the draft room is when you start moving the magnets.
Yeah, I can't go there this early. It's like
I'm fine with Grant. I mean, I think he's going to go insane next week.
Yeah, I do too. In terms of any of the other defensive tackles there,
who else do we have on the list?
Harmon, Tyleik Williams, Darius Alexander.
I'm definitely taking Grant over all those guys.
Yeah.
That's fine, putting him next.
Okay.
So how many are we up to?
8.
Okay. McMillan's still my pick, but
Well,
what about Barron?
I think if one of the offensive tackles was there,
when do you start thinking about?
I think they would take him.
Because you just kick one of the other tackles into guard or whatever. I mean, there's value there.
Oh, there's no doubt. I mean, if one of those guys were there, you would take Will Campbell or Kelvin Banks. Simmons, you have to see the medicals.
Yeah. I would probably – it wouldn't be Banks for me. I don't think Banks is as good.
Yeah. So Will Campbell there?
I also think Campbell might be a potential five spot starter. So maybe
I think he's the best offensive lineman in the draft. Therefore,
I just don't think he's the best tackle.
Yeah,
tackle only. Right.
You would put him. You'd find a spot for him somewhere.
Yeah. He would play somewhere or move around or whatever. I'm fine with that.
Okay, so now we're at 10.
I don't have Banks right behind him though. I think there's a gap between those two.
Yeah, I could agree with that.
Give me McMillan eventually.
We'll put McMillan there. I just again I don't love him, but that's just my.
Okay, so who's our favorite corner?
Mine is Jahdae Barron.
Me too.
Yeah.
Who's our favorite D tackle?
Well, they're different.
They're different.
Derek Harmon is different than Tyleek Williams, but I think
if you're sitting there at 21 and they're the two tops,
I think. Well, again, so I can get more nose tackles, and
we have to.
Grant could be a nose tackle for all you know.
Oh, I think he is. But that comes into play.
That comes into play.
Right. That's why there's no other backs on there.
Can I get another Derek Harmon later in the draft? Maybe.
It's probably Alexander. You know what I mean?
Or, the South.
I mean, there's other ones, right?
Other
ones. There are. Okay, so Harmon's over Williams.
Yeah.
Okay. I just like to narrow them down into categories. Who's our number one D tackle versus our number one corner? Would either safety? I mean, you think about Starks here or something crazy like that?
He's lower on my list.
Me too. I mean,
I don't know that he's special.
Right.
I think he's good. I don't know that he's like, oh, I got to have that guy. Whereas Emuari could be.
Could be. I mean, I'm taking Banks over those guys. I'm taking.
Yeah, I agree.
Barron.
I agree. What about Tyler Warren?
That was actually my next question because he's
a weapon.
I think he's special.
I like him. Actually like him better as a weapon than any of the receivers are going to go in the first round.
I think he's a lot like the Genti conversation.
Yeah.
Just the offense needs to score points, and he's good at offense.
Yeah. Find ways to use him.
Maybe he's next.
All right, I'll put Tyler Warren there.
And when we read over this, we might be like, Warren's too low.
Maybe.
I could make that argument right now. Like Warren versus Grant is a conversation to me.
Yeah.
Because I can find a nose in round two.
For
I
me,
can't
Warren
find that
versus
guy.
Ted McMillan is a.
You would take.
I would take
Warren.
I mean, they do a lot of the same stuff. Actually, they're both big, and they.
Warren might be right next to Genti. The more I think. I mean, just because he's good.
He's good.
He's safe
He's a
and
good football player.
Would we to the point where we can cross off a name or two? Who has no chance for you?
I don't know that we're going to get those Uriah Thomas or Maxwell Hairston at 21.
They're gone. Yeah, that's easy. I don't know that we'll get to the other receivers, but I don't know that I'm ready. I'm not ready to cut them yet.
Not ready to cut them, yeah.
Yeah.
To me,
I might cut both safeties.
Golden would be. I like Golden better than the other guys.
Me too. I need to do more work on Burton.
Here's the problem with Burton.
I know.
When you're watching the tape of Burton,
it's frustrating.
It's a lot of bubble screens.
Over and over and over.
I saw something where somebody's like 75% of his throws were bubble screens.
Mm-hmm.
Like they didn't do him any favors at Missouri by
I don't know who his quarterback is, but I don't think he's any good.
You see some stuff down the field and you're like, okay.
Yeah.
But then you see one of them per game. Everything else is just throw him the ball at the line of scrimmage and let him go be Deebo Samuel.
I would say his after the catch stuff is great.
It's great.
It's great.
But is he going to be able to do that at the NFL?
Right. And I don't think he's as physical as Deebo.
No.
And I hesitate to even mention this name, but in terms of, I think he's the Michelob Ultra version of Jamar Chase.
Yeah.
I think Chase has a lot of those qualities too. Now, Chase is the best.
Right.
I mean, but I think they could be used.
But
they don't use them that way.
All of his throws are within 10 yards of the line of scrimmage.
Right.
All of them.
because they can't protect and their quarterback stinks and he's
and
good at the catch.
To me, Ecuba is a slot.
I think he's much more, but I don't know that he's a difference maker.
Yeah.
I mean, he would be fourth on my list.
That's why I have Golden ahead.
I would have Golden ahead of him.
Yeah.
I think I'd have Burden ahead of both. But I'm not trading 21 for any of them right now.
No, neither am I.
I'm not sure anybody on the board I'm trading 21 for right now.
Well, we're at 12 players right now.
Right. And you're hoping edges go and Sanders and right. I mean, that's the way it goes.
So,
this is where it gets hairy.
Would you take Tyleik Williams ahead of those guys?
I'd probably take Banks over all of them.
Okay.
Or both O-linemen.
Kelvin Banks.
I mean, if we're going to have Simmons on there, I think we have to kind of assume he's
Josh Simmons. All right,
now he's my left tackle. And,
that's 14. Yeah.
Who's our favorite? Probably Barron.
I think so. Yeah.
I mean, we've probably had this conversation before.
I would take Jahdae Barron before the receivers.
How about before the D lineman?
It would depend on which. I think Tyleik Williams would be after Barron to me, as would Alexander.
Harmon's already off the board?
Harmon's off the board, yeah.
Then Barron's next. Okay. Because we've definitely had these conversations at a mock when we're up at 21.
Right. Now we're at 16.
What's left? 2 safeties.
The 3 wide receivers, 2 safeties, 2 defensive tackles. We still have Armand Membo available.
Let's cut him.
All right. That makes it easy then.
Mm-hmm. I don't know that I can take a safety.
I don't know that I can either.
You know, when it comes down to it, like if somebody's got to get cut.
So we cut them both because that drops us under 20 then, or under down to 20.
Well, then we can't. Or would you take Membo over the safeties?
I might.
I think I would.
Yeah.
Does that keep us at 21? I think it does.
Yeah.
Okay.
That puts us at 21.
At 21. Okay. So is Membo number 21?
So if I cut both safeties, Emuwari and Starks. Then we're at 21 players.
Okay. And how many have we ranked so far?
We have 16 or 15 ranked.
Okay. So let's start working the other way.
Okay.
I think Membo's probably 21 since we just cut him 2 seconds ago.
Yeah. I think that's...
Can we agree on the order of the 3 receivers?
Probably not.
I'm not staying on the table for any.
I like Golden. I like Golden the best of that group.
Is Ekubo last?
Yes.
We can agree on that. And I'm fine with Golden ahead of Burden because, frankly, I'm not staying on the table for any of those. So if those 3 are all going to be in there in that order, where do we wedge the remaining player or 2?
So Matthew Golden. And then I'm going to put, right now, Luther Burton ahead of him. But I'm not sure that I would take any of those guys. That's 19. We got 2 players left to rank, and that would be Tyleik Williams and Darius Alexander.
I would rather have all the receivers than Alexander.
Okay. So he's
probably 20. And I guess, how about Williams versus Alexander?
I'd rather have Williams, I think.
Yes. Would you rather have Williams or his teammate Ekuba?
I think I'd rather have Golden, then I would take Tyleik Williams, then I would take Burton and Ekuba.
Fine. I can handle that.
All right. So what we ended up with
for
our
might
21.
Be a 3-segment project because when we read over these, we might be like, that guy's at 14. He should be at 6.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Well, we might be too low on Tyler Warren.
Warren's the one that keep coming back to.
So we ended up with an order of Cam Ward, Travis Hunter, Mason Graham, Abdul Carter, Walter Nolan, Will Johnson, Ashton Genty, Kenneth Grant, Will Campbell, Tet McMillan, Derek Harmon, Tyler Warren, Kelvin Banks, Josh Simmons, Jahdae Barron, Matthew Golden, Tyleek Williams, Luther Burton, Emeka Ekuba, Darius Alexander, and Armand Membo. Those are our 21.
There's a lot of amount of love.
Right. I'm right there with you.
Yeah. And what's weird is there's a chance we get our number 4 guy at 21. Is it Nolan 4 or is he 5?
He's 5.
Okay.
He's 5.
Yeah, the top 4 you got no
We could
chance
get our
at.
number 8 at 21.
Right. And it often happens that way, folks.
Right.
I mean, by the way, when you do it, and we'll have this conversation close to the draft, but I urge everyone to put their 21 together, especially later.
Yeah.
And you'll realize you're not going to get 21. I mean, there's almost zero chance you end up with 21. You often will end up with 12 or 13.
Yeah, there's going to
Sanders is going to go.
There's going to be a
guys
bunch
are
of
gonna
edge
go.
rushers that are going to go.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I mean, Starks could go.
There'll be,
right.
Of the 21 guys currently on our list, there'll probably be 5 or 6 of them available when the Steelers pick at 21.
Yeah, there might be 2 or 3
Might be
when
more
day
than
one
that.
ends.
Yeah.
He's still on our list,
Yeah.
Then,
Well, that was, 2 years ago, that was Joey Porter
that was Porter,
Jr.
right.
Yeah.
That's the way it works, right. I mean, that's why, there's going to be a lot of names. When you're not in the quarterback market, they go like crazy, or,
Yeah.
or if you're not going to take a running back, they're going to go,
Yeah. So, anyways, let's get to another break. We'll talk more about this order when we get back. He is Matt Williamson. I am Dale Lolley. You're listening to The Drive here on the Steelers Audio Network. Matt and I'll be back with more right after this. Welcome back. I'm Dale Lolley. He is the Matt Williamson. We're putting together our list of 21 players we think, or at least we would take if we're drafting 21st in order for the Pittsburgh Steelers. And we got our 21 here now. It's Cam Ward, Travis Hunter, Mason Graham, Abdul Carter. I'm good with that. I'm good with 5, Walter Nolan.
I think the top 4 kind of, they're their own beast,
Will
Nolan.
Johnson at 6, I don't have a problem with.
Mm-hmm.
7, Ashton Genty. We could argue whether he should be higher or lower, but
Yeah.
all right.
I mean, he's a running back.
Kenneth Grant at 8.
Okay.
Will Campbell at 9.
You're hesitating.
Well, I'm just thinking, would we take Tyler Warren or would we take Will Campbell?
Oh, you're trying to slot Warren. Would you definitely take Grant over Campbell?
Yes.
Grant can do one thing for you, but it's a need.
It's a
Campbell
need.
could do a lot of things,
and
for
he
you.
might be a situational pass rusher for you. Well, he has that kind of juice.
Oh, I think he's not just a run stuffer.
Not just a nose. Yeah.
10 snaps a game guy. All right, that's fine. Warren versus Johnson. I want Johnson.
Okay.
Just because I think he could play 5 spots for you.
No, Warren, Campbell, you mean?
Campbell, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right.
Okay. Warren versus Tet McMillan.
I'm fine with Warren there.
I'd rather have Warren than Tet McMillan. Would you rather have Tet McMillan or Derek Harmon? That was the.
I don't love either. I mean, I like McMillan better than Harmon.
Okay.
Yeah. I'm worried Harmon's a little high.
We have Harmon at 12. Kelvin Banks at 13.
I haven't done a ton of work on the O-lineman, to be very honest.
I haven't either.
Because there's no need from what we do, He had a down year. I think I'd rather McMillan.
We have Banks at 13. We have Josh Simmons at 14.
I love pure tackles. Like, I might rather have Simmons than Banks, but that's really splitting hairs. I mean, I don't really care.
We have Jahdae Barron right after those guys at 15.
Is he too low? Should he be ahead of those 2 O-linemen?
Well, again, I think you can get guys who do what he does later in the draft. You're not going to get tackles.
You don't need them, but you take them anyways.
Talented,
right.
Yeah.
Yep. Okay. Who's after Barron?
Matthew Golden.
Fine. I'd have Barron over his teammate.
Tyleek Williams at 17.
Okay.
Then we have Luther Burton, Ekuba at 18 and 19.
Mm-hmm.
Darius Alexander at 20. Armand Membo at 21.
Okay. Different question for you. The genie comes out of the bottle.
Okay.
And says, I will trade you what players would you take 21 for today? Where's your cutoff on that? I bet it's a pretty low number. Like, I'm not sure I'd even do Grant.
I think I would. I would take
You would
Grant.
just be done.
Yeah.
Take it now.
Give me Grant.
Sight
I'm
unseen.
good. Yeah.
Right. But if you might run a 5'5" in a week from now or whatever.
He's not going to.
Yeah. He's a close one for me. I wouldn't do it for like the second 2 linemen.
No.
Would you do it for Warren?
Yeah, I mean, depending on what else was there.
I know he's not going to make it, so you know you're getting value out of the trade. 21 for Warren.
I mean, I think he's just a good football. I think he's a top 10 player in this draft.
I do too, and I think he may even be higher
when
you start doing exercises like this. And maybe we're leaving some edge guys that have a higher grade on. Okay, so who's your cutoff? Would you do it for Genty for sure?
Yeah.
You wouldn't do it for McMillan. I would.
No, I would not for McMillan.
Who was earlier than McMillan on our list?
That was Ward, Hunter, Graham, Carter, Nolan, Will Johnson, Ashton Genty, Kenneth Grant, Will Campbell, Tyler Warren.
I think I say yes to all those. I assume Grant. It's just
I'll give you Tet McMillan. I mean, there's definite talent there, and he is,
And I'll be honest, I
monster.
haven't studied him as intently as some of these other guys too. I mean, maybe I'll sour on him, but from what I've seen, I'm pretty impressed.
Basically, after that, then it's going to be a.
What'd you do for Barron? I think I'm going Fish.
Yeah, I want to see what else is there. Yeah.
Right. That doesn't mean I wouldn't ever take.
I
him
love
to
the
21,
player,
right?
But I want to see what else is there.
I'd rather roll the dice and see how it goes, as opposed to today. I'm going to swap that pick for him.
Right.
I might sign a corner. You know what I mean? Right.
Yeah.
Okay. I think we got a feel for it.
I think that's where I'm at with this. I don't love the receiver class at the top. Mm-hmm. The cornerbacks might change.
I would say if Benjamin or Ravel run a 4.4 at their pro day, I don't think either's going to work out next week.
Right.
They're going to be on that
But
list.
we may get some news that they're ahead of schedule with their or their
That
might change. Yeah, now they might work their way onto the list.
That's what I'm saying. Is who else could add to the list?
6'2" cornerbacks with talent don't grow on trees.
And maybe the corners in general are the ones that could invade that list.
Yeah.
If we cut to what if I don't think Porter's a first round pick.
I don't think he is either.
I mean, I could see him being heavily in the second round consideration.
Yeah.
I bet there's a D lineman that could blow up that we're not thinking about.
Yeah, could be Darius Alexander.
Yeah.
I mean, he may have a monster combine. You're like,
I know they're expecting him to.
Yeah, and in that situation, then we're looking at a little different situation here. But, maybe it's Tyleik Williams. Maybe Tyleik Williams looks great moving around. And
his agility stuff's great. And I'll be honest, I'll leave the door open for Sanders.
Yeah.
I mean, it's a quarterback.
It's a quarterback.
Right. I mean, if he's super impressive from what I see from this point on, he could get my top 21.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't think another running back could.
Could another quarterback?
Yeah.
I don't know that I'm not taking another. I can't.
I mean, it could.
21.
I'm not swapping 21 for Shuck right this minute. But I think I'd trade my second-round pick for Shuck. I know I'd trade my third-round pick for Shuck right now. I mean, I would definitely trade my third-round pick for Shuck. And I think I'd do my second.
Oof. I don't know if I'm there yet.
Yeah.
I like the player.
Unless it comes out next week that he has bad knees, which could be. I mean, he's had some injury stuff.
He's had a lot of injury stuff,
right.
Yeah.
I wish I knew that. I don't,
And, some of the previous tape from his other stops wasn't great.
No question. Yeah.
There's talent.
There's talent.
There's arm talent. And you watch some of the throws, you're like, wow.
Yeah. I mean, I think he's built like Ben.
Yeah.
I mean, I like that.
Yeah, for sure.
Anyways,
let's get to a break. That's a full hour of just breaking down our top 21 players in this draft. And
we might have to do that like every 2 weeks or every, do it again after the combine.
We'll definitely have to do it again
do a
after
final
the combine,
answer too. Yeah.
So
okay.
Maybe after we get through the pro days and get to see that information as well.
Mm-hmm. But, we'll do a final one for sure.
Oh, yeah,
right
absolutely.
Before the draft, right?
Yeah, we always do.
Mm-hmm.
But he is Matt Williamson. I am Dale Lolley. You're listening to The Drive here on the Steelers Audio Network, on Steelers Nation Radio on the Steelers Audio Network. Matt and I will be back with hour number 2 right after this. And welcome back to hour number 2 of The Drive on Steelers Nation Radio on the Steelers Audio Network. I'm Dale Lolley. He is the Matt Williamson, and Matt Gennaro Felice has dropped a new mock draft.
Okay.
on NFL.com. So let's take a look at that one, see where he made a mistake with the Steelers. We'll keep our top 21 in mind.
Yeah, I say this is fresh on our noggins.
Absolutely. So he has Cam Ward going number 1 overall to the Tennessee Titans.
So I've been giving this thought this last 24 hours, and that's who I would take if I were them.
Yeah.
I mean, the more I think about it, the more I think he's a legit number 1 quarterback prospect. That maybe he's not quite as good as the guys at the top of last year's draft, but you could win a lot of games with him if he hits.
Yeah, you'd be fine.
Yeah. I would take him if I were the Titans over Carter or Hunter.
He has the Browns then taking Abdul Carter.
I assume Garrett's going to go.
Yeah.
And that would be the smart move to me.
Right.
I don't know if they'll do it. I kind of hope they take Sanders.
At 3, the Giants take Travis Hunter.
I think they're going to take a quarter. Maybe they trade for Stafford.
I think they sign a quarterback and try to make it work.
Mm-hmm. I think they'd love to get Ward.
Yeah.
And might even go to 1 to get him.
Right.
You know.
At 4, the Patriots take Will Campbell.
It's safe.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't think he's special, but it's safe.
At 5, he has the Jets trading up with the Jaguars to take Shedeur Sanders.
I would never do that, but I could see them doing that.
I wouldn't either.
Yeah, right. If I were the Jags, I'd be like, great, I'll move down a handful of spots.
At 6, the Raiders take Teteroa McMillan, wide receiver out of Arizona.
I could see that.
At 7, after trading down, the Jaguars take Will Johnson, cornerback out of Michigan.
So they could have ended up with Graham still, too, you know?
Yeah. At 8, the Panthers take Mason Graham.
Put him next to Brown. You actually have a strength on defense for the first time in a long time.
At 9, the New Orleans Saints take Michael Williams, edge rusher out of Georgia, who didn't make our list.
Right. And that's how there's going to be a handful of those guys.
At 10, the Bears.
I want to see how big he is.
Yeah.
I mean, I think he's going to be huge.
Yeah.
He doesn't make many plays.
The Bears at 10 take Kelvin Banks Jr.
This is that neighborhood where I think Banks goes to one of these 3 or 4 teams.
Yeah.
Doesn't get past Miami.
At 11, the San Francisco 49ers take Armand Membo, offensive lineman out of Missouri.
Same conversation, yeah.
At 12.
Also wasn't on our list.
Yeah.
Barely.
Yeah. 12, the Cowboys take Ashton Genty.
Fine. That's been mocked there a million times. I don't know if they'll actually do it or not, but I don't think they'll get much farther.
At 13, the Denver Broncos trade up with the Miami Dolphins
for a tight end
and take Colston Loveland.
Right thought process, wrong answer.
Yeah, wrong door.
Wrong door.
Yeah.
I mean, who trades up for a tight end?
Nobody.
I mean, it doesn't really happen, but
no.
right, go up 7 spots or whatever for a tight end.
Yeah.
When there's 2 on the board.
Yeah.
Maybe 2 spots.
At 14, the Indianapolis Colts take Tyler Warren. I think
it's
he
a
just
little
wants
chalky.
I think he just wants to put that in. Like that's why you had him. Like
maybe
if they're trading up, they're taking Tyler Warren. He's 100%. A better prospect.
He's a much better prospect, in my opinion. And I don't know that Loveland will even be there for the Steelers. I think he could go to Denver.
Yeah.
Straight up, not with the trade. Warren to the Colts is getting too convenient for me in these mocks. It's like alt to the Titans last year. And their defense is bad with an all-new defensive coordinator. They're not short on pass catchers.
No.
I mean, they got Pittman and Pierce and Mitchell and Downs. Their tight ends are a bunch of nobodies, but
it's a deep tight end draft.
Right. I mean, I think I'd take like Starks ahead of them.
Yeah. 15. The Falcons take Jalen Walker, the other edge rusher out of Georgia. He didn't make our list.
I'm real curious how big he is, too. He might be 6'2", 235.
Yeah.
And he's more dynamic than his teammate, but they're like total opposite type players.
That's why I haven't done our edge rusher rankings yet, but I would have Pierce ahead of him. Is more of a pure defensive end.
I'm not enamored with any of those guys. I mean, not even just for the Steelers, just in general.
At 16, the Arizona Cardinals take Walter Nolan, defensive tackle from Mississippi.
Yeah. I mean, their defense is problematic, and it starts with the front.
At 17, the Cincinnati Bengals take Mike Green, edge rusher out of Marshall.
Usually they want bigger ends, but they've changed defense coordinator.
Yeah.
And he's really productive.
At 18, the Seattle Seahawks take Tyler Booker, guard out of Alabama.
I'm usually not in favor of that move, but for what's on the board and their massive needs in the middle of the offensive line. I totally get it.
At 19, and he wasn't on our list either, 19, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers take Shamar Stewart, another guy who didn't make our list.
Mm-hmm. Edge and linebackers are their spots.
Yeah. At 20, after trading back, the Miami Dolphins take Malachi Starks, safety out of Georgia.
I don't think Holland will be back.
Yeah, he's definitely not. They already said they're not going to franchise
Booker
him.
went to a pick or two before. A guard is a huge need for them. But, okay, that's good value.
At 21, he has the Steelers taking Emeka Ekuba. It's not who I would take.
It's not who I would take, but I understand it, and I think he's going to be a good contributor somewhere.
Well, I think he'll be a good player in the NFL, but I think he is.
We had guys higher on our list.
Yeah.
Right.
At 22, the Houston Texans trade up and take Luther Burden.
Okay.
Trade up with the Chargers.
Yeah. I mean, I think those three receivers could go in about the same neighborhood.
Yeah.
With Golden.
At 23, the Packers take Jahdae Barron, cornerback out of Texas.
I don't think Alexander will be back, and they almost always draft defense in round one.
Yeah. At 24, the Vikings take Kenneth Grant, defensive tackle out of Michigan, which would have been my Steeler pick.
Yeah.
Given how things fell.
The way our list went, was Grant the highest guy on
Yes.
He had to have been, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I'd be thrilled if I were the Vikings for that. I mean, they have other needs, but that's a nice pickup in the middle of the defense.
Absolutely. The Chargers, after trading back, take Omarion Hampton, running back out of North Carolina.
I think they could be a Najee landing spot with all the money they have, too.
Yeah. At 26, the Rams take Josh Simmons, offensive tackle out of Ohio State. He was on our list of 21.
Yeah, I'll be shocked if he lasts that long, but I guess you got to mock him in this neighborhood. Their left tackle's a free agent.
At 27, the Ravens take James Pierce Jr., edge rusher out of Tennessee.
Fair enough. There's a lot of directions they could go.
Yeah. 28, the Lions take Nick Scourton, edge rusher out of Texas A&M, although I don't know.
That seems early to me, but he has some knee biter to him. He's a physical dude,
29, the Commanders take Josh Connerly Jr., offensive tackle out of Oregon.
Okay. The rookie from TCU last year, I guess, could kick into guard. One more O-lineman, any way you shake it out, wouldn't be bad for them. They have a lot of needs as it stands right now.
They do, yeah. I mean, you got 30 guys who are going to be
so many free agents, yeah.
At 30, the Bills take Tyleik Williams, defensive tackle out of Ohio State.
Yeah, they're a little soft up the middle.
The Chiefs then take Donovan Jackson, the guard out of Ohio State.
Yeah, he might be a tackle for them.
He might.
Right. I mean, he'd be a perfect pick for them. Yeah,
he'd be
he's
in the
either a
mix.
right guard or a left tackle or right.
At 32, the Eagles then take Jihad Campbell, linebacker out of Alabama.
I don't think they'd ever do that. I mean, they haven't used a linebacker pick forever. I understand the thought process.
Yeah.
Bond is up.
They just
and all that
they
stuff.
just don't do it.
Right. They just don't do it.
But I think looking through it here, the only guy who's on our list who didn't make his mock draft was Matthew Golden
and Harmon.
Oh, yeah.
Because I was about to say, I think the Eagles would have taken Harmon.
Yeah. Who were our 12th and 16th players.
Okay.
Yeah, and Darius Alexander's our 20th.
And Alexander, too.
Yeah.
The positions that Steelers need, I don't think they'd last much longer.
No, I don't. I think they would go early in the second round. But again, if the draft fell this way for the Steelers, I think they take Kenneth Grant.
Yeah, I do too. But if you knew this, well, you would know some of it. And when you're sitting there at 21, if you looked at our list and been like, there's still 9 names on here.
You might trade back.
I could maybe trade to 33.
Yeah, the guys who were still there.
Round.
Grant was there. Egbika was there.
Okay, that's 2.
Burden was there.
Mm-hmm.
Jahdae Barron was there.
That's 4.
Grant, I already said.
5.
We didn't have Omarion Hampton. Josh Simmons was there.
6.
Tyleik Williams was there.
7.
And the guys who weren't drafted.
So there's 9 dudes sitting there that you're comfortable taking at 21. But now that doesn't mean you like him as much as Grant,
right?
I mean, it's
then he might be in a different tier for you.
We probably should have said
he was in a different tier for us.
Yes,
I mean we had him as our 8th player on our board.
And the way I just phrased that wasn't right. And I wish I would have said this last hour. Is you have 21 names, and you're prepared to take any of the 21,
right?
That doesn't mean you're happy about it.
That's why you put the order up.
Right.
That's why you put them in order, and you're like, oh, our number 8 guy is there. All right,
Because the reality, though, 18 and 23 might be equal for you.
Right.
But you have to make the decision of at 21, if the wrong 20 go, what do we do?
What do we do? And that's why you come up with the list.
But I just said, they'd be comfortable with any of the 21. They're not necessarily comfortable. I mean, you still.
If they had to take Armand Membo, they would not be comfortable.
That's not comfortable,
No.
right? They don't like it one bit. That's worst case scenario.
Right.
You hope it doesn't go that way. You hope to get your 12th guy.
Yeah.
At 21, which is usually what happens.
Right. Yeah. That's why we put together the list and put it out there. And this is something that goes back to the Kevin Colbert days when they did it that way. And this is what they did. They we're picking 18th. We're going to have 18 guys we would take. You get to the 18th pick, and there are 7 of them still available. Well, you have them ranked in what order you would take them. You might have 18 guys on the list, but your number 7 guy might be the one that's the top guy that's available. You take your number 7 guy.
I remember having this conversation after they traded for Minka, and they said something like,
they had him as a top 5 guy.
Right, and everyone's got so much feedback. How could they possibly do that? I'm like, well, let's think how they were thought on draft day. They weren't going to get a quarterback, so he was ahead of all the quarterbacks.
Right.
I don't know what their needs were. They probably had AB at the time. I don't know, whatever it was. It was like they weren't in the receiver market, so he's ahead of all them. He was their 5th-ranked guy for this type of move.
Like 11th overall?
Yeah, I mean, it wasn't that far off anyway, But for their needs through their eyes, he was the 5th most attractive player. That's not that hard to figure out.
No. And I could definitely see, our top 10 guys, I think, we might be dead on with the order.
Yeah, maybe. Subject to change. But
there might be a change here or there, but those 10 guys would be guys that
they're very comfortable to have, and they would gladly take.
Yeah.
Along those lines, I never quite wrap my head around it, but I do know it to be true that like the Patriots, frankly, every team on their front board has fewer names that get drafted, and some used to say the Patriots would have under 100. They'd have like 90 names that they're for 7 rounds. Yeah. And they never had to go to the sideboard. Like,
let's face it, though, the Patriots under
weird.
Bill Belichick were not a great drafting team.
That's what I was going to say. Is they would always take like a safety from Rutgers in the second round that was a 5th rounder everybody else. Right? Yeah. They were looking for specific things. So I still don't know how you'd be comfortable walking into the draft room and going, okay, there's 100 names we're going to pick from. They could go quick.
And I'm not saying the Patriots weren't a good team. There's a difference there.
Right.
But they would go out and pluck this veteran guy and that veteran guy because, I want to go try to play with Tom Brady so I can win a Super Bowl.
Some of that too. Right.
So they could get some of those veteran players who, that would take a little less money to go there. Or they, so you knew exactly where you were looking at. But their drafts.
No, they were weird.
Yeah.
I also know Belichick would team build a little different. He's like, on third and long, we don't have a dime linebacker, so I'm going to draft a dime linebacker, just for this role and ask him to do one thing. I'm like, okay, that's fine. But you could have got him in the 5th round, you took him in the 2nd. You know, there's always a lot of that. But I always think that's weird that you go in way less than with how many guys are going to get picked.
Well, I think, I think a lot of teams do that. I think most teams, maybe you have 150 guys on the board.
Yeah. I mean, I think most teams have way less than how many.
Because you're gonna get rid of guys with character issues.
Mm-hmm.
There's 320, I think 329 players going to the combine, and the way that works is they poll all 32 teams, and who do you have?
You kind of have a vote on.
Who do you have a draftable grade on? So if you have a draftable grade, you largely get invited to the combine. Now that doesn't mean that there aren't players who might have draftable grades that aren't at the combine. It might take multiple teams where you run out of spots. Like we can only take 30 wide receivers. Well, we got 38 of them that have draftable grades.
I've even heard this year they're having a hard time with the D linemen.
Yeah.
There's a lot of good D linemen that could get drafted that won't be in Indianapolis, and that never happens. That there's just too many of them this year. Or running backs. You're not going to ask 35 running backs to come to Indianapolis.
I mean, and we're gonna do this next, but All Access Football put out a preview offensively and defensively of the combine, and they identified one sleeper at each position to keep an eye on.
Okay.
And then the best player not invited to the combine.
And there's guys like that. Kevin Dotson.
Yeah, there's some dudes that are going to get drafted here. The Washington State wide receiver, Williams, wasn't invited to the combine.
Oh, was he? I haven't even looked at the list. Okay. So back to the original or that other conversation, there's usually 256 guys drafted.
Yeah.
8 times 32, unless somebody like forfeits a pick or something goofy.
Right.
But I don't think anybody goes with 256 names on their board.
No.
I mean, some of them are kickers and punters, and maybe you're not going to draft a punter, but
Right.
some of those guys.
Long snappers and
But
things
the
of that
character
nature.
guys are character guys for 32 teams.
Right.
I mean, now maybe some teams might
It's a
overlook
difference.
it. But,
Okay, he has a first-round grade, but he's got character flaws. Well, we'd take him in a third round.
Mhm.
Well, he's maybe not going to make it there. Or
you kind of know you're not going to get him.
But if it's a fifth-round guy, well,
he
doesn't get drafted
I'm
then.
not drafting that
Yeah.
guy. Right.
he's undrafted.
And obviously medicals are the same too.
Yeah.
But everyone on the planet, I mean, all 32 teams, we don't know the dudes that have the bad knees.
Yeah.
That they're not on a lot of boards.
Like the LSU wide receiver
Mm-hmm.
who ran over dudes, ran over people.
I mean, Tyreek Hill wasn't on a lot of boards.
I don't think he was invited to the combine, but yeah, he was not.
So a recent example, like I bet Jalen Carter was on every board.
Right, but
Probably not in
where
the
were you
first
gonna take
round
him?
for
Yeah.
every board. You know what I mean?
Obviously, not in the top 10 for some of those teams that had picks.
Certainly not in the top 8
because
for 8 teams.
Talent-wise, he was
better than all of them.
Yeah.
I mean, him and Bijan to me were clearly the best prospects
Yeah,
in the
if
draft.
we redrafted that draft right now, he might go number 1 overall.
Sure, right.
But
you
were
wonder
character
how many
issues.
teams would have taken him in round 1. And a lot of that's just saying, hey, Mr. Owner, is it okay if we
You
take
okay
him in
with
round
this?
1?
Yeah.
And he says no, and you say, oh, well, then we
not
know that
taking
answer.
him.
Right.
Yeah.
And there's always a big difference, too. If you use the day 2 pick on him, fine. But if he's the first one and we're at the podium and he's got the hat on and he's, wearing your colors and this is representing our class, like, can't do that. Sorry.
a little different.
Yeah, a little different.
Yeah, absolutely. Anyways, let's get to a break. That was Gennaro Felice's mock draft on NFL.com, their most recent one.
We would ended up with Grant in that situation.
I think we would have taken Grant.
Okay.
Yeah. So he is Matt Williamson. I am Dale Lolley. You're listening to The Drive here on the Steelers Audio Network. And, of course, you can hear The Drive every Monday through Friday right here on these very airwaves, including next week from the NFL Scouting Combine. The time slots are going to be a little bit different there, but you'll have wall-to-wall coverage all week long from Steelers.com, our Steelers Nation Radio, not just from us, but
there's a lot of contributors.
Wes Euler's going to be there. Rob King's going to be there.
Max will be there.
Jerry
yeah.
Dulac, Max Starks, of course, us. I think that's everybody that's actually going to be on the air. But we'll have all-day coverage. We'll have great guests and all that fun stuff as well.
Might have to monitor Max Starks at the deep dish place, too.
Yes.
He usually eats about the same as 4 of us.
Or 6.
I get a bowl of minestrone for dessert that day, too. I was like, this is insane.
He can eat. Yes. Anyways, you can also download the Steelers mobile app, and then you don't have to worry about who's on at what times because it'll all be
anytime you
right
want.
there available for you. And you'll also still be able to watch our show on YouTube. You can check that out there. That'll be live from the combine, or not live from the combine, but we'll have all of our combine stuff on there as well. Anyways, we're going to get to a break. We'll be back with more right after this. And we are back. He's Matt Williamson. I am Dale Lolley, and this is The Drive on Steelers Nation Radio on the Steelers Audio Network. And as Matt, as I mentioned, All Access Football has broken down some of the sleepers at every position and
Combine preview, huh?
combine snubs.
Okay. I don't know this at all. I didn't look at the
offensively
list.
and defensively. So let's take a look at this and see what they came up with. They do this name to know is how they come up with a sleeper. And their name to know at quarterback is Graham Mertz, the quarterback from Florida, torn ACL in October. So he's not going to work out at the combine, but you're going to get the early medical testing. They're saying he's a late round draft pick, but he threw.
I just know the name. I don't.
Threw for almost 10,000 yards in Wisconsin and Florida. So
but I mean, still, you bring him to camp and maybe he does nothing his rookie year, or gets in a little bit and practice squad him and see what happens.
Yeah.
You know?
The combine snub, well, it's Taylor Elgersma from Laurier.
I didn't know what would happen to him.
Well, and here's the thing. So the combine invites go out, or they make the list up in December.
Yeah, these guys need to know these things.
Right. And
he was on list at that point.
Yeah,
right.
that was pre.
I think the Senior Bowl just kind of dug him up.
Yeah, all of a sudden, he's at the Senior Bowl, and it's like, wow, this guy's got a live arm.
You think he gets drafted? I'm gonna say yes.
I could see somebody using a late round draft pick on him. I mean, there's stuff there that you
right.
I mean, the size and the arm strength, and
if he ended up at St. Vinny's in a couple months, I wouldn't mind. Right? Yeah.
No, there's some talent there. At running back, their name to know is Ulysses Bentley from Mississippi.
Okay.
And what they say is he's a highly rated prospect entering the season. Bentley fell out of favor with head coach Lane Kiffin and lost his starting job to Henry Parrish Jr. Still, Bentley possesses plenty of traits that will appeal to NFL teams, such as size, elusiveness, experience, and high character.
Great. That sounds like a 7th-round pick to me.
Yeah. The Combine...
Also sounds like a special teamer to me.
Yeah.
Yeah, which is good.
Combine snub was Ja'Cory Krosky Merritt from Arizona.
I'm surprised he didn't get invited.
Yeah. But again,
there's too many running backs.
Yeah. If you're 35 draft eligible or draft running backs with draftable grades on them, you're going to run out of spots at some point. You don't want
35 running backs there.
Yeah.
Right.
Receivers, the name to know, Bo Collins from Notre Dame.
Okay. What do we know about him?
Here's what they say.
Oh, good.
A somewhat forgotten man throughout the course of the season. There were big expectations with Collins, who transferred over from Clemson. He never became the consistent deep threat that Notre Dame had hoped and struggled with dropsies, but did close out the season strong. Now, some of that could also be Notre Dame's quarterback situation. I am not a Leonard fan.
As a passer, I'm not. No. I think he's Taysom Hill.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That might be what he is.
Might have something to do with it, right.
Yeah.
And who knows who else was on the team. And
if you're a deep threat, it's like, okay, the quarterback doesn't throw deep.
Then tucks it and runs, late in the down.
The Combine snub, as I mentioned, Kyle Williams from Washington State.
I'm shocked about that.
Yeah.
That doesn't help his cause at all, but maybe there's more to it than we know.
Yeah, I mean, again, you run out of spots with with receivers. You can't have all of them there. Tight end, name to know, Robbie Ouzts from Alabama.
Yeah, I don't know him.
Ouzts.
Well, that is a name to know.
Ouzts, I guess. Said he's a throwback tight end. He's the only fullback.
Okay.
Invited to the Combine, but he's going to work out with the tight ends.
With the tight ends, right?
Yeah, position he's also lined up for the Crimson Tide. He's a hard-nosed blocker who projects as a Swiss Army knife, capable of lining up at H-back.
So he's a use check type.
Yeah.
Sounds like. Okay.
The Combine snub, Caden Prickscorn from Mississippi.
I'm a little shocked he didn't get invited, but tight end's deep too.
Tight end's a deep spot.
How many tight end classes are you going to take?
Yeah. The offensive tackle group, the name to know, Branson Taylor from Pitt. 3-year starter at left tackle, team captain. Has some medical stuff. He got hurt. I
thought he had a pretty decent chance to get drafted.
Yeah, got hurt late in the season, so we'll see. Where his medicals come out at.
Mm-hmm. That's not great for him.
Yeah, and to be honest, the Pitt offensive linemen
usually do pretty well.
At the NFL level.
Yeah, corners and O linemen and running backs seem to always do pretty well.
The Combine snub, Dalton Cooper from Oklahoma State.
I don't know him.
He was played in the East West Shrine Bowl, did the Hula Bowl, but again, that was all post season stuff.
Right.
And the logs, well, this guy can actually play, but it was too late for the Combine.
Okay. I mean, again, there's good players don't get invited to the Combine sometimes.
Yeah. Guards, name to know, Marcus Tate from Clemson. He was became the third true freshman in school history to start the opening week of the regular season since 1972 at Clemson.
Yeah, right. Wow.
So, yeah, there's some injury stuff there. So, again, the Combine, big for guys like that.
Yeah, it'd be huge for him.
The Combine snub, Nash Jones from Texas State.
It doesn't shock me a dude from Texas State got snubbed.
But he played in the Shrine Bowl and I guess played well in the Shrine Bowl.
So he's on the radar.
Center to know, Torricelli Simpkins III from South Carolina.
It seems like a very poor center draft.
Yeah, it's not a great one. But the Combine snub was a guy who was at the Senior Bowl, and that's Willie Lampkin from Coastal Carolina.
I was going to bring him up. He's the weirdest prospect.
He's 5'10".
He's 5'10". Is he going to be Ricard? And he moves well, but he holds up pretty well too. I mean, Kelsey's
he almost
not
has
the
to play center at the NFL level if he's going to be
if he's not like a Ricard type guy, he can't do anything else.
Yeah, you're not going to put him at guard. You certainly can't put him at tackle.
No, but I mean, his tape's not bad. His
Yeah.
Senior Bowl wasn't bad. Obviously, he understands leverage. I think he's got a wrestling background, but he's 5'10".
He's 5'10".
I mean, he really stands out.
Yeah, you do have to be big enough to ride the ride.
Yeah, I mean, like if Russell Wilson's taking snaps from him, he's shorter than Russ. I mean, that's crazy stuff. You don't see that at all. I wonder if he's going to be the Ricard fullback type or whatever.
Yeah. The defensive side of things, defensive tackles to know. Nazir Stackhouse from Georgia. is their first guy.
I assume he's a big recruit.
He's a nose. Was a 3-year starter for Georgia, which is
says something.
Yeah, but he's a nose.
Mm-hmm. Okay. I mean, I just know his name. I don't know much about him yet.
Yeah, the combine snub, Keontae Hamilton from Rutgers.
Okay.
Again, very deep defensive tackle
class.
Yeah.
And
you're not going to be able to get everybody there.
Doesn't mean that you're
a
shot.
bunch of dudes defensive tackle.
Same with edge.
Edge rushers, the names to know: Ashton Gillette from Louisville.
Oh yeah,
good player.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't realize he was a 210-pound freshman and is now 270 pounds.
Was he an edge when he started, or a lot of those guys like you used to take wide receivers and turn them into edge guys? You know? The speed off the edge.
Yeah, I think I was reading through this earlier, trying to think. One of these guys was a tight end that moved to defensive line or something.
That's not unusual either. You just bring a bunch of body type 6'4" athletes, played basketball in high school type guys, and figure out where to play them.
Yeah. Anyways, let's move on to linebackers. Name to know: Carson Bruner from Washington. That, of course, is Mark Bruner's son.
Oh, is it? Okay.
So keep an eye on that. And
cool. I wouldn't be shocked if he ended up at St. Vincent's at some point.
No.
All right.
He had double-digit tackles in 4 of his final 6 games, finished up the season with 104. Great awareness, active hands. He had 3 interceptions last year and is the son of Mark Bruner.
Yeah, nice fatherly influence, too.
There you go. Combine snub.
Is he expected to get drafted?
Yeah.
Is he? Okay.
Yeah. Combine snub, Jacob Dobbs from James Madison.
Yeah. I know a linebacker from there, too.
Yeah.
Right.
Let's see here. Moving on to cornerbacks. Isis Waxter from Villanova is the name to know.
I don't know that name.
Well, of course, Christian Benford came out of, there, and so they have some dudes that have.
It's not the worst program ever.
He's got some length, strong press man, cover corner, who was not tested much all season. Didn't allow a single touchdown last year.
I bet
because nobody throws at him.
Right.
Yeah, you just ignore that side of the field.
I told the story a million times. I mean, that year I was with Duquesne, Lee Bodden was one of our corners who played in the league for like 10 years. No one threw the pass at him all year.
All year. Yeah,
Why would you ever?
Yeah,
I mean, he had the easiest.
Game
day was so easy for him. It was unbelievable.
The combine snub, Glendon Miller out of Maryland. Played some nickelback, played some safety.
Okay.
7 interceptions over the last 2 years. So
that's some name to know. That.
Remember, Beanie Bishop was a combine snub.
But he wasn't there.
Yeah.
Okay. So there's a lot of them that end up having decent careers.
Yeah. Safeties to know: Andrew Makuba out of Texas.
Oh yeah.
He moved here from Zimbabwe in the 5th grade.
Mm-hmm. No, I know he's got a cool backstory.
Became the first true freshman to start at Clemson since the school began keeping track in 1972. Finished up his career at Texas.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He'll be a mid-round pick.
Combine snub, Shamari Simmons from Arizona State. Smaller cornerback. He is a true slot. And didn't get invited to the combine.
Yeah, those guys can get overlooked pretty easy.
Yeah. And that is, we got our safeties. No, that's a different spot there.
Okay.
That's they do a little.
I hope they don't have long snappers.
No, they do not. But yeah, it's an interesting list, and
yeah,
again, just some different names
to
to look at there. Guys, you want to see it.
It's funny how this process works throughout the course of the year. It's like the Senior Bowl falls on me fast. Like there's 100 names at the Senior Bowl, and going, when I start off knowing half of them, and then by the end of the deep into the process, I got them all down. And I pretty much into it, and then the combine comes around, and there's 3 times that amount, and you still got to go find names and the 6th, 7th rounders. And there's guys you end up why didn't I know about him earlier? I like them a lot.
Yeah, again, 329 guys get invited to the combine, and they don't even take 300 in the draft.
Right, well under
that. They take,
and there will be a few that aren't there that get drafted.
They get drafted. Yeah. So you're gonna, and then you got, there's more than 100 players, easily more than 100 players. You're probably talking about another 250 to 300 that get signed after the draft.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Every team has at least 10,
give or take.
Yeah.
Last year the Steelers might have had 6 because
was it that low?
Yeah.
Okay.
they had signed a bunch of guys to futures contracts.
Done
some stuff in
I mean, there's
free
only
agency.
93, 92 spots.
And then you have the guys that you invite for tryouts to your rookie camp, and you get some guys that get signed out of that.
People be shocked with the process of like these guys don't really fall through the cracks.
It's almost impossible.
Right, to totally get overlooked. Now,
Yeah.
you might not keep the right guy. I mean, someone might go on to have a great career that you had at camp and you didn't think could play, or didn't get a huge look at. But he was on your wall. There was a magnet of that guy.
Yeah.
I mean, you at least are on top of that stuff.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I mean, you can
Deep.
the James Harrisons or the Wyatt Tellers.
I bet that's not true like in baseball and hockey, though, because all the countries.
Oh.
You know what
Yeah.
I mean? Like, at least
You
they're
can
all
fall
in the
through the cracks in baseball,
I would
especially.
assume.
Yeah.
I mean, someone from Japan or Puerto Rico or whatever. I mean, or middle of nowhere Canada in hockey or Russia or something. Like, I'm sure you could easily fall through the
Well, they
cracks.
go often play juniors and all that
No, I
stuff.
know, I
It's a
know.
little different, but
Yeah.
the
They're
baseball.
not going in little towns, I guess, but
Yeah.
baseball, I would imagine, right?
Yeah, I mean, you look at that all the time. Like
Mm-hmm.
I see it just coaching baseball, guys that should be playing at a higher level than what they're getting recruited for because nobody's seen them.
Nobody's seeing them.
Yeah,
Small
they
towns.
didn't go to all the different camps and all this stuff.
Mhm. I mean, even in my day in recruiting, like, we recruited the state of New York, but not really because it was really bad for football
Yeah.
in New England. But that doesn't mean there wasn't a good player there. You
Yeah.
know, they were playing against bad football or, I mean, a lot of those
Speaking
guys,
of that-
you only had so much time to go in there.
No players from the WPIL, which is the Pittsburgh
Wow.
area this year at the combine. I don't know if that's ever
I
happened
was going to say,
before.
that has to be a streak broken. That blows me away. Hadn't thought of that.
329 players there, and none
Or Whippeal guys.
are Whippeal guys.
Huh. Maybe that is the first time in our lifetime.
It's first time I know since I've been going out there that I can think of that there hasn't been somebody. I mean, we usually had somebody even just from my area that I had to-
Yeah. Let alone Pittsburgh.
Yeah.
Right. Wow, that's amazing to me. I hadn't thought of that.
So local football needs to
Step it up. Maybe
Step
it's
it
just
up a
a down
little
year
bit.
for him.
absolutely, or down year for them a few years ago.
Yeah.
These are
Right.
And that's so many of these guys now staying in school, which leads me to the Carson Beck thing.
Mm-hmm.
Carson Beck, who of course transferred from
Georgia.
Georgia
Right.
to Miami, got $4 million to do so
that,
in
right.
NIL money. He was robbed last night.
So I heard, yeah.
Somebody stole his Mercedes
That stinks.
and his Lamborghini.
And his Lambo. That's insane.
You're a college student.
You're a college student.
First of all, what the hell do you need two cars for?
True.
Um,
I wonder what he got coming out of high school.
he's probably made over $10 million in his
Yeah. I mean, I know
career.
yours made a couple million coming out of high school.
yeah.
I mean, he was the top recruit in the country as a quarterback. Like, what did Arch get? Probably a ton.
Yeah.
I don't know. I mean, it's not my money. I don't care. Do whatever you want with it, but that is a little crazy.
A little crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah. But he had two cars stolen that were worth more
Does he
than
have four more?
maybe.
Maybe.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Those were just the ones that the
The ones
thieves
he's
could
left
get
unlocked.
to.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
where do you got to park those things somewhere?
I bet he has a pretty nice apartment
probably
or whatever,
does, yeah.
too. I don't think he's living in the dorms.
Is he living on South Beach somewhere?
Might as well if you got
Again, when
10
people
million
wonder
in the
why these
bank.
guys don't come out,
They got great lives.
if I'm making $4 million to stay in college, all right.
Right. I bet he's a decent place.
You and I didn't get that money, and we stayed in college longer than we were supposed to. They had
We
to
were
kick us
quite
out.
a while, yeah.
Anyways, let's get to a break. He is the Matt Williamson. I'm Dale Lolley, and this is The Drive on the Steelers Audio Network. Matt and I will be back to finish up the show right after this. And we are back. I'm Dale Lolley. He is the Matt Williamson. And Matt, just looking here at some of the news and notes from around the league, Zach Martin has told the Cowboys he plans to retire.
I think it's time. I mean, he started to decline. He's got injuries. He's a free agent now. I didn't really want to see him go to some other team, and it'd be hard to bring him back if you're the Cowboys.
Yeah.
I mean, I thought maybe he'd be like, I want to go to the Chiefs. Okay, I mean, I would see that, but that's could be Franco of the Seahawks too, you know?
Yeah, I mean, I think
You
he
know?
knows his body, and
Yeah.
he's
Doesn't surprise me
starting
at
to
all.
break down a little bit. He's older, and like, okay,
I think 5 years from now, he's going to Canton now.
You've had a great career.
Great career.
Yeah,
He's the poster boy for Will Campbell's that tackle in college, Notre Dame, first round type guy, but should bump into guard and be the best guard in the league.
Yeah,
Yeah.
And that was it. But yeah, I mean, great career, but it does create another hole for the Cowboys.
Yeah, it does. Yeah, their O-line has a couple spots, and they got 2 rookie starters last year, so that's a start, but that doesn't mean that they're
this
great.
doesn't even doesn't even help their cap situation because
he
was already a free
to be,
agent.
Right. They really don't benefit at all from it.
Yeah.
Right.
Aiden Hutchinson, I don't know if you saw the video of him running.
I knew there was one. I didn't watch it, but yeah.
He wasn't running hard. Let's
Bro, really?
He was running like 3/4 speed.
Okay.
And he is now favored to win both the Comeback Player of the Year and Defensive Player of the Year.
I think he would have been Defensive Player of the Year had they voted the day before he got hurt.
Yeah. Doesn't mean he would have finished the season.
I don't say it was only like 6 weeks, though.
Yeah.
I mean,
he had like a monster. He had like a 5-sack game against somebody or something like that.
And he was on fire to start the season.
Yeah.
I don't think he's better than Parsons, Watt, Garrett, Bosa at his position.
Yeah.
I mean, I think he's fighting for number 5 or 6. I'd take Crosby over him still. I mean, he's a really good player, but I don't think he's elite.
No, nor do I.
I mean, Comeback Player of the Year, sure, I'll put a buck on that.
He's also been somebody who I believe talked to somebody in the media and said, yeah, we'd love to have Myles Garrett.
The Lions?
Yeah.
Oh, I bet. Why would he not?
Yeah.
You know, I mean, they've been looking for a bookend for him, and then they were really hurting when he was out. Yeah, I think that's a potential landing spot for Garrett.
I don't know what their cap situation is. Whether
I don't think it's awful.
No, I don't think it is either.
And they don't have a ton of big upcoming free agents of note. I'm sure they could restructure Goff and move some money around. Their problems are like when Gibbs
a couple
and
years
Laporta,
from now, like that's
all the guys they've
drafted,
Branch and all these dudes they've drafted lately are all going to come up about the same time.
Yeah, they've got $51 million in cap space available
right now
for next season, but 2026, all of a sudden they have the fourth fewest.
That
doesn't surprise me. And you're going to have to start paying those dudes.
All the Jack Campbells and all those.
That's
they had 3 first-round picks that 1 year.
They have $27 million in cap space, which sounds like a lot, but they only have 30 players under contract.
Okay.
And a lot of those guys are going to be guys that
they're key guys, right?
Yeah.
You don't want to lose any of them. No, but they're pushing their chips in. I could see Garrett being a Lion, and it would something be attractive to him too. Playing dome's nice, as opposed to sloppy Browns, field and all that, just pass rush. I'm trying to think who their free agents are. Zeitler's up, but he's 35 or something.
Yeah.
Right, he's a guard. They've drafted some dudes. I don't think anyone else of note, major
cornerback.
Davis,
Carlton
the corner,
Davis,
yeah. But other than that, I mean, they can withstand it.
Yeah.
That's a landing spot for Garrett, maybe.
Yeah, potentially. If they want to do that, and would they want to give up? What would they give up?
Well, you're definitely giving up the late first.
26, I believe it is.
And I would say next year's first.
I wouldn't be on board with that if I'm the Lions. I'm not giving up 2 firsts.
Rarely has 2 firsts and signing a guy ever worked out in the NFL.
Well, here's the thing for the Browns, too. Like, okay, the Lions are going to give us a first. It's 26 this year. But if we trade them Myles Garrett, it might be 32 next year.
Oh, you're going to assume it's at least a playoff pick.
Yeah.
I mean, it could be 32, but probably late 20s minimum. Yeah. I mean, it's too late first. I do that if I'm the Browns.
They've had a bunch of double picks. Let's say.
More than anybody I can remember. I mean, there was 1 year that they had 3.
Yeah.
I mean, and they have not been great with it. I think the Garrett year they had 2.
Yeah, if you look at the Browns draft history, now
the last 3 years are nothing.
Nothing. They haven't had a first-round draft pick, but they screwed up their having, multiple first-round draft picks.
Yeah,
Plenty
Trent
of times.
Richardson and Whedon, and I mean, so many of them.
I don't think it's the last time that.
It's been a little while.
Well, 2018 they had number 1 and they had number 4.
Was that Garrett?
They took Baker Mayfield and Denzel Ward.
Yeah. Which is okay.
Yeah.
But I remember at the time saying, you took an undersized quarterback and an undersized corner in the top 5.
Yeah.
They're both good players, but I'd rather Josh Allen.
One wasn't for the Browns.
Yeah.
The year before that, in 2017, that was the year they had 3 first. I can remember having.
Was that Njoku year?
That was Myles Garrett, Jabril Peppers, David Njoku.
Okay. And anyone would have taken Garrett.
Right.
I mean, that was an easy first overall pick. Njoku's worked out, but it took a while.
Took a while.
No, but they go all the way back to Trent Richardson.
Yeah, they in 2015 they had 2 first-round draft picks. They took
Is that Gilbert?
They took Danny Shelton at 12 and Cameron Irving at 19.
Neither one was good ever.
They had in 2014 2 first-round draft picks. They took Justin Gilbert at 8, Johnny Manziel at 22.
Both character issues too.
Yeah.
Wow.
That was in that time period when they were trading. We're going to trade for future picks.
Mm-hmm.
I can remember having that conversation with David Todd on the radio when he was on 970. He's like, I really like what the Browns are doing. I'm like, at some point you have to make the picks. You can't just keep trading away future picks for future number ones. At some point you actually have to make the picks, and they have to be the right picks.
And like we just talked about with the Lions, I mean, I think they had 3 the one year too. The Jack Campbell year, and they were all free agents at the same time too. If you do
now
hit,
that under the new rules,
it's like hit, right?
Yeah,
but you can't pick up 3 fifth-year options. It's hard to pick up 2 fifth-year options.
In 2012, the Browns had 2 first-round picks. 3rd overall, they took Trent Richardson. And then they took at 22, which was actually not even his age, Brandon Whedon, who at that time was still older than Ben Roethlisberger.
I think he was 28 on draft day.
Yeah, he was older than Ben Roethlisberger when they took
him. Right. Did Richardson last 1 year before they traded him to the Colts? They did get a first-round pick for him.
They did,
which was just a terrible pick by the trade by the Colts.
Awful. Yeah.
Those are 1 year with them with the Browns.
Yeah, they also had in 2007 they had 2 first-round picks. Took Joe Thomas at 3rd overall.
Nice.
And Brady Quinn at 22.
Okay. Yeah.
They were the kings of, we're just going to take a quarterback late with our second pick.
Mm-hmm. And hit on none of them. Yeah. And even like you said, Mayfield 1st overall didn't give them a lot.
Yeah. So I've gotten that a lot on the message board here. Well, you got to do like the Eagles did and get some future first-round picks. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
The Eagles traded quarterbacks.
Yeah.
Get first-round picks.
People don't just give those away.
No.
I mean, there's a reason every team has their pick in this draft so far. I mean, they're not big on giving away future picks.
No, especially not now. It's cheap labor.
Cheap labor, right. And people look towards this draft like it was going to be great. And I don't know if it is.
Yeah. So, anyways, that's where we're at with all that stuff.
Mm-hmm.
But Zach Martin retiring.
Zach Martin is big.
I'm kind of surprised Tyron Smith hasn't also hung
Also
it up.
a free agent to be. He's had a lot of back injuries and a lot of stuff. He'd probably be a Hall of Famer as is. There's a couple guys up. I mean, Kelsey, is he on his way out?
Yeah.
Rodgers. I mean, this Hall of Fame class
interesting.
in 5 years.
Yeah, that would be your Hall of Fame class 5 years from now.
Yeah, I'm trying to think. I thought there was another name or two that might be retiring that are an all-time great too.
Yeah. So
I mean, I think Martin's an easy Hall of Famer.
Yeah, but I thought Luke Kuechly would be a
Hall
of Famer. And
don't exactly approve how the Hall of Fame has done business the last 5 to 10 years either.
Yeah, they've changed the rules a little bit to adjust things, and
I don't think it's been for the better. Right.
Yeah.
If Luke Kuechly can't get in with some of the guys that did,
yeah,
what are we doing here?
Right.
Or Gates last year. Come on.
Yeah. But anyways, Matt, that's going to do it for our show today.
All right. Do
interesting
one tomorrow and then off to Indy.
The first hour was all whittling down our top 21.
Mm-hmm. It's a good exercise, though.
Yeah.
That was a good thought.
You should try that. And if you have a problem with how we did this,
and I'm sure some of you do, and I get that. That's cool, right?
Put your own list together and see how it comes out for you, because this is what happens when they start sitting down to discuss.
And if you love Shadir Sanders, he should be 3rd on your list or 2nd on your list or whatever. That's cool. That's fine.
He's a quarterback.
Right.
I understand it.
Maybe you're bigger on the receivers or corners. I get it. You know, that's it. And maybe you wouldn't have any O-linemen on there at all, or any tight ends on there.
Or maybe you have all the offensive linemen on there. Just depends on how you view things. But,
but it's hard to come up with 21 names that you're real comfortable with.
It is this year for sure.
Mm-hmm.
And previous years we're like, I had 5 guys I didn't get on my list.
Yeah, that I'd be thrilled with. Right.
Yeah. So for my partner, Matt Williamson, for Justin Miller here on site, making sure that our audio gets out there fine and everybody can hear us, and for Tyler Vittmeyer, who's back from his little vacation in Daytona. He's making sure our video gets out there onto YouTube. I am Dale Lolley. We thank you for listening to this edition of The Drive on the Steelers Audio Network.
Steelers football happens here. The Pittsburgh Steelers Audio Network.